So this is the ILIFE W400 Mopping Shinebot robot. So in the box, I won't unbox this for you because I've had it for a while. The box in the loft. But anyway, you normally get the machine itself. You'll get a small filter, which I've already shown you. You'll get a charging dock, a power adapter, the roller, which you've seen, the scraper, which fits onto the back. You get batteries for a remote, you get a remote, and you get a manual. To be honest, I never use the remote. It's pretty useless. You can do everything on the remote that you can here. I don't even know where the remote is, to be honest. I'll see if I can find it. Yeah, I've got it here actually. And look, I've never used it. You see, it's dusty and things like that. So it's just, you can select the different modes. You can make it go forward, back, left and right, and spot cleaning there. But you'll never use that, pretty much. So some of the features that iLife has, and this is from their marketing blurb, it says it cleans without using chemicals. It thoroughly cleans with moisten, scrape and scrub, but really it's actually wet, scrub, squeegee, but we'll get into that later. It's got clean and dirty water separation, 0.85 litres of clean water and a 0.9 litres of dirty water. It's got different modes, so it's got a path mode, that's the one you'll probably use most of the time. It cleans in straight lines, it's less likely to skip or redo an area, which is handy. It's got an area mode, which will clean in front of the robot using a systematic path. What's the systematic path? I don't know. It's got a spot, so basically it'll spiral, so it'll start somewhere. So for example, it'll start like that, and then it'll work its way round and round, and the radius will get bigger like that. It's got an edge mode, so basically if you've got a square room, it'll do the edge of the room, and that's your edge mode. It's got quite a few sensors. It's got crash detection sensors, you see that. It's got drop sensors, anti-fall sensors, all these sort of things, just your standard stuff that you get with robotic vacuum cleaners or mops. And you get between 30 and 40 minutes of runtime, and it says it'll clean roughly 300 to 400 square feet. I don't know what 400 square feet is in meters, but it sounds like a decent amount. What's good about this robot? So my favourite thing about this is, let's open it up, is the system that it uses. So earlier on I said about it's moisten, scrape and scrub, but really it is wet, scrub and squeegee. So what happens is water, clean water comes from the tank here and it's dropped here. Let's turn this upside down, please up. Like I said, this machine's well used, so that's why it's a little bit dirty. But so it'll drop out the water, and then this microfiber roller will spin around really fast. It'll spin really, really fast, and it'll scrub it. And then this squeegee here will squeegee it up, and then it'll get sucked into the machine, and it'll go into this dirty tank. So that's giving you a real thorough cleaning, because if you look at the iRobot Bravas, or even like your Roboroks or your kind of, obviously the iRobot Bravas are dedicated mopping robots, but I find that they just glorified spray mops basically. I mean, they do have the advantage of being smart, but most of them, they're just spray robots. And your things like your Roborok, although they are intelligent robots, the mopping is usually just a pad, and then the pad goes on the floor and it drops a little bit of water through it, and it's not really a thorough mop. It's fine for, like, let's just say you've got laminate flooring, or you live in a hot country, you're not going to get mud. But in winter in a country like the UK or something like that, you need a dedicated mopping robot, in my opinion, especially if you're getting a lot of traffic. So the fact that it's a dedicated mopping robot that drops water, scrubs water, squeeges it up and sucks it up and puts it into a separate tank is awesome, because obviously if you've got a mop bucket and you don't have a separator in the mop bucket, if you put your mop into the water and it's clean, and then you clean the floor a little bit, the dirt from the floor is now in your mop, and then you dunk that mop back into that water. Now all that water is contaminated with the dirty water. Although it is diluted with clean water, it's also been, soiled with dirty water. Whereas this system here, you have a clean water tank, it's dropped, it's scrubbed, and then it's squeegeed up into a separate tank, keeping the clean water clean, the dirty water dirty. I think it's a fantastic system. You've got a little bit extra capacity in the dirty water compared to the clean water. I think that's just to pick up spills and things like that, but I don't think that's its main focus. It really does thoroughly clean, because the microfiber roller spins round really, really quickly. It does actually scrub the floor. I've seen the Roboroks being used as mops. Like I said, they're just like, it's just a pad, and it does work if your house isn't that badly soiled. If you're doing like, you got laminate flooring, it's dusty, then yeah, great. If you're using this in an entrance in a house in a wet country, you need something, in my opinion, a lot more thoroughly. That'll clean more thoroughly. Sorry. The other thing I like about this robot as well, it doesn't ask for much. You replace the water, you empty out the water, and that's all I pretty much ask for. There's a filter to clean in it. It doesn't need any kind of extra servicing. This, that, the other. Like I said, this gets used 2-3 times a day, and it's just fantastic. One good thing as well is that you could set your robotic vacuum to vacuum the house, or for example the kitchen in this case, and then I'll put this on before I go to work, and this will mop the floor, so I'll come home and the floor's clean and nicely vacuumed and nicely mopped. So it really is handy, and it saves you, if you used to do that manually, it maybe only take you 25 minutes, half an hour maybe, but that's 25 minutes or half an hour not of cleaning. If you come home from work and you've got to do 25 minutes to half an hour's worth of cleaning, that's another episode of something you could watch on Netflix, or another 25 minutes or 30 minutes in bed, or doing anything but cleaning, which in my opinion is the worst job in the world. But anyway, so what is bad about the robot? So I think a bad thing about the robot is it isn't smart, and that I think there's one real knock in favour of this. So like I was saying about the Roborocks, they have sensors and LiDAR and cameras and detection and all that sort of stuff. Because this isn't smart, it doesn't know where it's going. I mean, it'll do a decent job. So on path mode, it'll go methodically. When it bumps into something, it'll turn around, and it won't usually do the same area too much, or it won't skip anything too much usually. To be fair, it is pretty thorough. But if it was something like a Roborock, it would map out the room, and it would do it more thoroughly, it would do it faster, it would do it more efficiently as well. Again, because it's not smart, there's no phone app. So with no phone app, there's no scheduling, there's no no-go zones, no different rooms. So you can't really do any of that. And because there's none of that, there's no water control as well, which although they could have just built into the robot here. So it says that this could be used on lino, LVT, hardwood floors, tiles, things like that. But do you really want to use a mopping robot on your laminate or your hardwood? Maybe you're fine with it. It might be absolutely fine. It doesn't drop that much water, and it does suck up most of that water back up. But with something like a Roborock, you could say to it, well, in my front room, I've got laminate flooring, so only use a little bit of water. And those robots generally, because they're just dampening a pad and just pushing the pad over, they're putting a lot less water on the floor than a robot like this is, in my opinion anyway. Again, this comes back to it not being smart. It doesn't know how to find its way back to base, so if you put it in a different room, or even if it's in the same room as the base, it won't be able to find its way back to its charging base, which is really annoying in my opinion. They say that you can clean without chemicals, and I don't use chemicals in this, but the only chemical they recommend is the ILIFE cleaning solution, and it's quite expensive. It's about £9-10 a bottle, and it comes from China. Maybe it's decent, maybe it's not. I'll need to get that in, and we can try it, and we'll see if it's any decent. But I don't see why they don't let you use any cleaning solution you want. They say that it'll ruin all the parts inside the robot. Maybe that's true. Again, I've not tried it, so I couldn't tell you. And the other thing I do like about this though is they're about £240, £250, something like that, depending on where you buy it from. That isn't cheap, I'll admit that's not cheap, but the amount of use that I've had out of this robot is just unbelievable. Bathroom, kitchen, any areas we've got tiles, I just chuck this on and this just let this mop the floor. It does it really thoroughly, in my opinion. There's no mess, it's not usually that wet after it's done as well, and it just does a really good job, and it doesn't really ask for much. And again, that's time that you save, and time that you save is invaluable in my opinion. So I'll give you a quick demo of this robot, how it works and what it does. Right, so we've put the ILIFE on the floor. So normally you just come up to it and you just press the button clean. So we'll check. So it's we're going to put it in path mode. So that's one where it does straight lines. Actually, we'll face it to go this way just so it's going that way. So we just press the button, or it will speak to you as well. It's got quite an annoying voice, but it does speak to you. So you press the button, you'll hear the brush start to spin up, and then it'll go, and you'll see a trail of water, and I'll show you it working.
Cleaning will start soon.
So it says cleaning will start soon. So I think that's the vacuum starting up, and that's the brush going. So you can see it left like a little bit of water there. It's not completely dry, but so now it's turning itself. So look at that. I'm not sure if you can see if this floor's how wet this floor is, but it is mopping the floor. So it's dropping water down, it's scrubbing it with a microfiber brush, and then it's squeegeeing up the excess water. I mean, you will see a little bit of water left, but look, it's not like terribly wet. The good thing I like about this robot as well is you know it's definitely working, because one, the floor's obviously clean after it's finished, and the other thing as well is that when you empty the dirty water tank, it's definitely dirty water, and especially considering there's no cleaning chemicals in there, it's usually like brown/grey water, and it'll just keep doing this, so it'll go back and forward, back and forward, back and forward, until your room's clean pretty much. It's pretty quiet as well. But to be honest, you might look at this and say, well, it's quite slow, I can mop way past this, and yeah, you definitely could, but the whole point of this is that it's mopping whilst you're out of the house, or you're watching TV, and it's just cracking on. Please excuse the mess, I have just been cooking and stuff. Right, so this has been mopping the floor for maybe a minute, so let's see the dirty water. Now you see that? Water is definitely not clean. That water is brown/grey, so it's not nice. And just to prove that the water in here is clean, take that out. That's definitely clean water. As you can see, that's definitely clean water. Can you see that? So yeah, it does a really good job of mopping floors. The microfiber squeegee, you can just give that a quick rinse down, just make sure the dirty water stops running off it, and just give it a quick thingy. You can chuck it on the radiator to dry, or you can just let it normally air dry. I wouldn't necessarily recommend chucking it in the washing machine, or chucking it in the dryer or anything like that. Chuck out the dirty water, clean the filter, clean it up with, top up the clean water, and it's ready to go again. It is really handy. One thing to realise though as well is that this is just a mopping robot. This doesn't do any hoovering or anything like that, so you'd need a separate machine to hoover. So I've got a Neato in this case. Some of the modern robots like the Roborocs, they do hoovering and mopping, but again, the hoovering's fantastic, can't complain with that, but the mopping, unless you've got laminate flooring or low use areas, or you live in a hot country where it's just dust and things like that you're picking up, in my opinion you need something a lot stronger like this ILIFE W400, because it'll actually scrub the floor. Same thing with the iRobot Bravas, they spray some liquid and then they just kind of run over it with a pad stuck to the front, and in my opinion that's not the most efficient way of cleaning. Again, this has got the water separation and things like that, because if you've got a soiled floor, it'll be a clean pad for the first 2 minutes, and then after that you're just dragging dirt around, unless you're following the machine around and changing the pad every couple of minutes. But then at that point, what is the point in letting a robot do a job when you could just do it with a spray mop, or with just a normal mop in half the time? So that is what the iLife is. I think it's for people who want to save time, people who will be out whilst this works, or in a different room, who will actually just let it do its job, because it'll do its job really well. And obviously you have to have a fair bit of hardwood flooring, or tiles, or laminate or lino in your house to get the most benefit out of it. Obviously it doesn't work on carpet and things like that, but it is a really handy machine, and I do recommend buying this because it is a time saver and it's just absolutely fantastic. I hope that helped. Cheers.